Popular culture has a specific image of a serial killer, a strange, isolated loner lurking in the shadows of an alleyway, disconnected from the neighborhood. John Wayne Gacy lived a very different life. He was a successful independent contractor, a precinct captain for his local political party, and a neighborhood staple who performed as Pogo the Clown at children's parties and charitable events. In March 1980, it took a jury only 2 hours to convict this model citizen of 33 counts of premeditated murder. His crimes required immense logistical planning, from the deliberate selection of victims to the disposal of bodies beneath his own floorboards. Gacy operated with a level of clarity that confirmed his legal sanity. He was a high-functioning psychopath who understood exactly what he was doing. This creates a deep psychological tension. It forces us to confront the reality that a person can be a pillar of the community and its most dangerous predator at the same time. The 1970s social landscape had specific blind spots that allowed Gacy to operate for years without detection. A major breakdown in the justice system occurred years before his murder spree began. In 1968, Gacy was convicted of sexual assault in Iowa, but he manipulated the parole board so effectively that they released him after only 18 months. Once back in Illinois, he focused on a specific demographic: runaway teenagers and marginalized young men. He exploited the fact that law enforcement rarely prioritized these groups, and missing persons reports often failed to trigger active investigations. Gacy's murder streak succeeded because he utilized his social standing to exploit a justice system that wasn't looking for his victims. Gacy spent 14 years on death row at the Menard and Stateville Correctional Centers. Instead of expressing remorse, he spent time painting thousands of canvases. These works, often described as art brut, featured skulls, Disney characters, and Pogo the Clown. To art experts, the paintings reflected an emotional void, characterized by flat colors and a total lack of empathy for the subjects. This output fueled a dark Murderabilia market. Collectors began bidding on his work, and some art galleries even attempted to sell original pieces for as much as $20,000. Victims' rights advocates and families condemned the sales as blood money. They argued that profiting from the art glorified a killer and forced the families to relive their trauma. In May 1994, Gacy was executed by lethal injection. He remained defiant to the end, requesting a last meal of KFC and shrimp, while telling the media that he was actually the 34th victim of the case. Even in his final moments, Gacy's refusal to acknowledge his crimes demonstrated the absolute lack of empathy associated with antisocial personality disorder. Gacy's crimes corrupted the traditional image of the children's entertainer, replacing innocence with a sense of dread. His actions were the primary catalyst for the modern killer clown archetype. The fear of clowns, or coulrophobia, became a widespread cultural phenomenon as people began to associate the colorful mask with hidden violence. This cultural shift is visible in Stephen King's 1986 novel, It. The story's antagonist, Pennywise, mirrors Gacy's methods by using a clown's persona to lure children and hiding its victims in a subterranean space. The legacy of the case is a lingering suspicion of the perfect neighbor and a permanent awareness of what might hide behind a socially acceptable mask. In the 1970s, investigators had to rely on basic dental records to identify remains. Because the science was limited, several victims remained nameless for decades. Modern initiatives like the DNA Doe Project are now using genetic genealogy to re-examine the case. By building family trees from decades-old DNA samples, they are finally identifying the remaining victims. This process is identifying the boys Gacy tried to erase, returning their names and a sense of dignity to families who have waited nearly half a century for answers. Ultimately, the Gacy case shows that social status is no measure of character. In our communities, a pleasant, ordinary face can be the cover for extreme violence.